In the sleepy town of Willowbrook, nestled deep in the heart of the mountains, the disappearance of 8-year-old Mia Anderson sent shockwaves through the close-knit community. It was a warm summer evening when Mia, her parents, and her older brother Jake set out for a weekend camping trip in the nearby woods. The family had been looking forward to this getaway for weeks, eager to escape the hustle and bustle of daily life and immerse themselves in the tranquility of nature. As they arrived at the campsite, Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement. The towering trees, the gentle rustling of leaves, and the distant chirping of birds filled her heart with joy. After setting up their tents and enjoying a hearty meal around the campfire, the family settled in for the night, unaware of the life-changing events that were about to unfold. In the early hours of the morning, Jake woke up to use the restroom. As he stepped out of the tent, he noticed that Mia's sleeping bag was empty. Assuming she had gone to relieve herself, he waited a few minutes before growing concerned. He called out her name, but only the eerie silence of the forest responded. Panic rising in his chest, Jake woke his parents, and together they began searching the campsite and the surrounding area, their voices echoing through the trees. As the sun rose, casting its golden light over the forest, the reality of Mia's disappearance sank in. The Andersons rushed back to Willowbrook, their hearts heavy with fear and desperation. They alerted the authorities, and within hours, a search party was assembled. Police officers, park rangers, and volunteers from the town joined forces, determined to find the missing girl. The search for Mia stretched on for days, each passing hour weighing heavily on the hearts of her family and the community. The dense forest seemed to swallow any trace of the young girl, leaving the search party frustrated and disheartened. As hope began to dwindle, the town came together in an unprecedented display of unity and support. Neighbors brought food and supplies to the Andersons' home, offering words of comfort and encouragement. The local church organized prayer vigils, where people from all walks of life gathered to pray for Mia's safe return. The town's diner, a hub of social activity, became a makeshift command center, with maps and flyers spread across the tables as volunteers coordinated their efforts. Amidst the chaos and uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of an unlikely hero. Old Man Jack, a retired forest ranger who had lived in Willowbrook his entire life, stepped forward with a wealth of knowledge about the woods. He had spent decades exploring every nook and cranny of the forest, and his keen eye for detail proved invaluable in the search for Mia. With Old Man Jack's guidance, the search party focused their efforts on areas they had previously overlooked. They combed through hidden trails, searched abandoned cabins, and even ventured into the deepest parts of the forest, where few dared to tread. Yet, despite their relentless efforts, Mia remained elusive, and the town's spirits began to waver. As the days turned into weeks, the Andersons struggled to maintain their composure. Mia's mother, Sarah, found solace in the community garden, a vibrant patch of land where the townspeople grew vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The garden had always been a source of comfort for Sarah, a place where she could escape the stresses of daily life and find peace among the greenery. One afternoon, as Sarah tended to a bed of sunflowers, she was approached by Mrs. Jameson, the elderly woman who ran the local bookstore. Mrs. Jameson had been a pillar of the community for as long as anyone could remember, her wisdom and compassion touching the lives of countless residents. "My dear," Mrs. Jameson said softly, placing a gentle hand on Sarah's shoulder, "I know the pain you're going through, but remember, even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. Mia is out there and we will find her. Have faith and never give up." Sarah looked up at Mrs. Jameson, tears welling in her eyes. The older woman's words struck a chord deep within her, reigniting the spark of hope that had nearly been extinguished. With renewed determination, Sarah returned to the search, her spirit bolstered by the unwavering support of her community. As the search entered its third week, a breakthrough finally came. A hiker reported seeing a young girl matching Mia's description near a remote stream, miles away from where she had disappeared. The search party immediately shifted their focus to the area, combing through the dense undergrowth and rocky terrain. It was Old Man Jack who finally spotted her, curled up beneath a large oak tree, her clothes tattered and her face smudged with dirt. As he approached, Mia stirred, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and relief. Old Man Jack called out to the others, his voice filled with joy and disbelief. The rescuers rushed to Mia's side, wrapping her in warm blankets and offering her water and food. As they carried her back to safety, Mia began to recount her incredible story. She spoke of a massive bear, a creature that had followed her through the forest, never attacking, but always staying close by, as though guarding her. At first, the rescuers were skeptical. Bears were known to be dangerous, and the idea of one protecting a child seemed far-fetched. But as Mia continued her tale, describing how the bear had led her to streams for water and stayed with her through thunderstorms, the rescuers began to wonder if there was more to the story than they had initially believed. News of Mia's miraculous survival spread quickly through Willowbrook, and the town erupted in celebration. The Andersons were overjoyed to have their daughter back, and the community rallied around them, offering support and love in abundance. However, as the initial euphoria began to fade, questions started to arise about the validity of Mia's story. Investigators, both from the local police department and wildlife authorities, began to examine the evidence. They searched the area where Mia had been found, looking for signs of the bear she had described. To their surprise, they discovered strange markings near her campsite, as well as animal tracks that seemed to follow her path through the forest. Despite the mounting evidence, many remained skeptical. Bears, they argued, were not known for their nurturing behavior towards humans. Some dismissed Mia's account as the product of a vivid imagination, fueled by the stress and fear of being lost in the wilderness. As the debate raged on, the town found itself divided. Some believed in Mia's story wholeheartedly, seeing it as a testament to the mysteries of nature and the power of unlikely connections. Others remained unconvinced, unable to reconcile the idea of a bear acting as a guardian with their own understanding of the natural world. Amidst the ongoing controversy, Mia struggled to readjust to life back home. The trauma of her ordeal had left its mark, and she found it difficult to sleep at night, often waking up in tears, calling out for the bear that had protected her. Her parents, desperate to help their daughter heal, sought the guidance of Dr. Elizabeth Chun, a renowned child psychologist who had recently moved to Willowbrook. Dr. Chun, a woman with a kind smile and a gentle demeanor, quickly formed a bond with Mia. Through their sessions together, she helped the young girl process her emotions and make sense of her experience. As Mia opened up, Dr. Chun began to see the depth of the connection she had formed with the bear and the profound impact it had had on her life. Meanwhile, the town's attention turned to the upcoming Founders' Day celebration, an annual event that brought the community together to honor its history and heritage. As preparations got underway, the debate surrounding Mia's story took a back seat to the festive atmosphere. The community garden, always a centerpiece of the celebration, became a hive of activity. Volunteers worked tirelessly to plant new flowers, paint colorful murals, and string up twinkling lights. Among them was Sarah Anderson, who found solace in the physical labor and the camaraderie of her fellow gardeners. As Founders' Day approached, a new development in Mia's case brought the town's attention back to the forefront. A group of hikers reported seeing a bear in the woods, not far from where Mia had been found. The news spread like wildfire, and soon, the town was buzzing with speculation. Some saw the sighting as proof of Mia's story, arguing that the bear had returned to the area where it had first encountered the young girl. Others remained skeptical, pointing out that bears were not uncommon in the region and that the sighting could be purely coincidental. Amidst the renewed debate, Mia's father, Michael, decided to take matters into his own hands. A skilled outdoorsman, he set out into the woods, determined to find the bear and uncover the truth behind his daughter's story. Armed with a camera and a deep knowledge of the forest, Michael spent days tracking the animal, following its trail through the dense undergrowth. Back in town, the Founders' Day celebration was in full swing. The streets were lined with booths selling handmade crafts and delicious food, while musicians filled the air with joyful melodies. At the center of it all was the community garden, now a vibrant oasis of color and life. As the festivities continued, Dr. Chun and Mia took a quiet moment to walk through the garden, admiring the beauty of the flowers and the sense of unity they represented. It was here, amidst the blooming petals and the gentle hum of bees, that Mia finally found the courage to share the full extent of her story with Dr. Chun. Mia's revelation to Dr. Chun marked a turning point in her healing process. The young girl spoke of the bear not just as a protector, but as a friend, a companion who had shown her the true meaning of trust and courage. She described moments of fear and uncertainty, when the bear's presence had been the only thing keeping her from giving up hope. Dr. Chun listened intently, her heart swelling with empathy and understanding. She recognized the profound impact the experience had had on Mia, and she knew that the young girl's story held a powerful message for the entire community. With Mia's permission, Dr. Chun shared her insights with the Andersons and a select group of town leaders. She spoke of the importance of embracing the mysteries of nature, of opening their hearts to the possibility of unlikely connections, and of the transformative power of hope and resilience. As word of Dr. Chen's perspective spread, the town began to see Mia's story in a new light. Gradually, the skepticism and doubt that had once dominated the conversation gave way to a sense of wonder and appreciation. People started to see the bear not as a threat, but as a symbol of the untamed beauty and wisdom of the natural world. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Michael Anderson continued his search for the elusive bear. Day after day, he tracked the animal's movements, driven by a burning desire to understand the creature that had saved his daughter's life. As the summer drew to a close, Mia's story had become the stuff of legend in Willowbrook. The town's collective imagination had been captured by the tale of the young girl and her unlikely guardian, and the community had rallied around the Andersons in a powerful display of support and unity. The community garden, once a simple patch of land, had been transformed into a living testament to the story's impact. Flowers of every color and variety bloomed in abundance, each one a symbol of the hope and resilience that Mia's experience had inspired. At the center of the garden stood a newly planted oak tree, a sapling grown from an acorn Mia had brought back from the forest. As the town gathered to celebrate the garden's transformation, Mia took center stage. Standing before the crowd, her voice clear and strong, she shared her story once more. But this time, there was no doubt, no skepticism, only a sense of awe and appreciation for the incredible journey she had been on. In that moment, the town understood that Mia's story was not just about a girl and a bear. It was about the power of nature to heal and transform, about the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity, and about the unbreakable bonds that tie a community together. As the celebration continued into the night, the town's spirits soared. Laughter and music filled the air, and the glow of the twinkling lights cast a warm, inviting atmosphere over the garden. For the first time in a long time, Willowbrook felt truly alive, united by a sense of purpose and a shared belief in the magic of the natural world. Miles away, deep in the heart of the forest, Michael Anderson finally found what he had been searching for. There, in a small clearing, stood the bear, its massive frame silhouetted against the setting sun. Michael froze, his heart pounding in his chest as he raised his camera, ready to capture the moment he had been waiting for. But as he looked through the lens, he saw something that made him pause. The bear's eyes, deep and soulful, seemed to hold a wisdom far beyond anything Michael had ever encountered. In that moment, he realized that this was no ordinary animal, but a creature of profound intelligence and understanding. Lowering his camera, Michael stepped forward, his movements slow and deliberate. To his surprise, the bear did not flee, but instead regarded him with a calm, almost curious gaze. As the two stood face to face, a silent understanding passed between them, a recognition of the bond they shared through Mia's incredible story. With a gentle nod, Michael turned to leave, his heart filled with a newfound respect for the majestic creature that had saved his daughter's life. As he made his way back through the forest, he knew that he would carry this moment with him forever, a testament to the power of nature and the mysteries that lie hidden within its depths. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, life in Willowbrook began to return to normal. Mia, now a local celebrity, found herself at the center of a community that had been forever changed by her story. She returned to school, where her classmates greeted her with open arms and a newfound appreciation for the wonders of the natural world. The Andersons, too, had been transformed by their ordeal. Sarah and Michael found themselves drawn closer together, their bonds strengthened by the challenges they had faced and the love they shared for their children. Jake, Mia's older brother, had taken on a new role as her protector, his admiration for his sister's bravery and resilience growing with each passing day. But perhaps the most significant change of all had taken place within the community itself. The town had come together in a way that few could have imagined, united by a shared belief in the power of hope and the importance of preserving the natural world. The community garden, once a simple patch of land, had become a symbol of this newfound unity. Volunteers from all walks of life came together to tend to the plants, each one a living reminder of the story that had captured the town's imagination. And at the center of it all stood the oak tree, now a thriving sapling, its roots reaching deep into the soil, a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. As the first anniversary of Mia's rescue approached, the town began to buzz with excitement. Plans were made for a grand celebration, a day of festivities that would honor the young girl's courage and the community's unwavering support. On the morning of the anniversary, the town gathered in the community garden, now a lush oasis of color and life. Mia, dressed in a flowing sundress, stood at the center of the crowd, her eyes shining with joy and gratitude. Around her, the townspeople had come together to create a breathtaking display of flowers, each one a symbol of the hope and resilience that had carried them through the past year. As the celebration began, speeches were made and tears were shed. Old Man Jack, now a beloved figure in the community, spoke of the power of nature to heal and transform, his words resonating with all who heard them. Mrs. Jameson, the wise old woman who had been a pillar of strength for the Andersons, shared her own story of loss and redemption, reminding everyone of the importance of compassion and understanding. But it was Mia who stole the show. Taking the stage, she spoke from the heart, her voice filled with emotion as she recounted her incredible journey. She spoke of the bear, not just as a protector, but as a friend, a companion who had shown her the true meaning of courage and trust. And she spoke of the town, of the love and support that had carried her through the darkest of times, and of the unbreakable bonds that tied them all together. As the celebration continued into the night, the town came alive with music and laughter. Families danced in the streets, children played in the garden, and the glow of the twinkling lights cast a warm, inviting atmosphere over the entire community. And in that moment, everyone knew that they had been a part of something truly special, a story that would be told and retold for generations to come. In the years that followed, Mia's story became a part of Willowbrook's folklore. The tale of the young girl and the bear was passed down from parent to child, a reminder of the incredible power of nature and the resilience of the human spirit. As Mia grew older, she never forgot the lessons she had learned during her time in the forest. She became an advocate for the preservation of the natural world, using her story to inspire others to cherish and protect the wilderness that had given her so much. The community garden, now a permanent fixture in the town, became a symbol of the town's commitment to this cause. Each year, on the anniversary of Mia's rescue, the townspeople would gather to plant new seedlings, each one a promise to nurture and protect the world around them. And through it all, the legend of the bear continued to grow. Sightings of the majestic creature became more frequent, and many claimed to have felt its presence watching over them as they explored the forest. Some even whispered that the bear was no ordinary animal, but a guardian spirit sent to protect the town and its people. As the years flowed like a gentle stream, Willowbrook evolved while keeping its essential character intact. Mia Anderson, now in her early 30s, had become a renowned wildlife conservationist, her childhood experience shaping her life's mission. She traveled the world, sharing her remarkable story and advocating for the protection of wild spaces. But her heart always remained tethered to the small mountain town that had shaped her destiny. When she finally returned to Willowbrook to establish a wildlife research center, the town welcomed her with open arms. The center, built on the outskirts of town near where she had been found, became a beacon of hope for both the community and researchers worldwide who came to study the unique relationship between humans and wildlife in the area. Sarah and Michael Anderson, now silver-haired but still vibrant, continued to tend the community garden, which had expanded into a sprawling botanical sanctuary. The oak tree at its center had grown massive, its branches spreading wide like protective arms over the countless flowers and herbs below. Jake, Mia's brother, had followed in Old Man Jack's footsteps, becoming a forest ranger and guardian of the woods that had once harbored his sister. The bear sightings never truly ceased in Willowbrook, though they changed over the years. While some claimed it was the same bear that had protected Mia, others believed it was the bear's descendants, carrying on a sacred duty passed down through generations. The locals had learned to coexist with these magnificent creatures, developing a deeper understanding of the delicate balance between human civilization and wild nature. One autumn evening, as Mia worked late at the research center, she received an urgent call from Jake. A young girl had wandered away from a hiking group and was lost in the woods. Without hesitation, Mia joined the search party, her heart heavy with memories of her own ordeal. As they combed through the familiar terrain, now illuminated by powerful searchlights, Mia felt a familiar presence in the darkness. Following her intuition, she broke away from the main group, venturing deeper into the forest. There, in a small clearing bathed in moonlight, she found the girl, and standing guard nearby, a massive bear, its fur silvered with age, its eyes holding the same ancient wisdom Mia remembered from her childhood. The discovery reignited interest in Mia's story, but this time with a scientific focus. Researchers flocked to Willowbrook to study the unusual behavior of the local bear population. Through careful observation and documentation, they began to understand that the bears around Willowbrook displayed unique characteristics: a heightened intelligence and an unprecedented tendency to protect rather than avoid humans. As her own children grew, Mia found herself drawn more deeply into the mystery. Her daughter Emma, in particular, seemed to share her mother's special connection with the forest. At just 7 years old, Emma could often be found sitting quietly in the community garden, watching the wildlife with an understanding that went beyond her years. The research center expanded, becoming the Willowbrook Institute for Wildlife Studies. Under Mia's leadership, it pioneered new approaches to conservation that emphasized cooperation between human communities and wildlife. The Institute's findings challenged traditional views about animal intelligence and consciousness, suggesting that the relationship between humans and wildlife was far more complex than previously believed. During this time, Emma's gift for understanding animals grew stronger. She began accompanying her mother on research expeditions, her presence often drawing curious wildlife closer rather than driving them away. The bears, in particular, seemed to recognize something special in the young girl. As Willowbrook prospered, nature reminded the town of its raw power. A devastating storm swept through the region, threatening both the town and the surrounding forest. As the community rallied to protect their homes, reports came in of wildlife behaving strangely: bears, deer, and other animals moving in coordinated patterns, almost as if they were working together to survive the disaster. In the midst of the chaos, Emma went missing. Like her mother before her, she had vanished into the forest. But this time, the town's response was different. Instead of panic, there was a strange sense of calm. Somehow, they knew she was safe. While searching for Emma, Mia and Jake discovered something extraordinary: a hidden valley deep in the forest, untouched by the storm. There, they found not only Emma but an entire community of wildlife living in remarkable harmony. Bears, wolves, and deer coexisted peacefully, and at the center of it all was Emma, sitting calmly among them as if she belonged. The valley became a sanctuary, a living laboratory where the Institute could study the unique relationships between species. Emma's ability to communicate with the animals, while never fully understood, helped bridge the gap between scientific observation and genuine understanding. As news of the valley spread, Willowbrook faced a new challenge: protecting this precious ecosystem while sharing its lessons with the world. The town council, led by an aging Mrs. Jameson, established strict guidelines for access to the valley. Only those who demonstrated a genuine commitment to understanding and protecting wildlife were allowed to visit. The community garden, now connected to the Institute, became a training ground for a new generation of conservationists. Children from around the world came to learn from Mia, Emma, and the other researchers, each carrying a piece of Willowbrook's wisdom back to their own communities. Years passed, and Emma grew into a young woman, following in her mother's footsteps while blazing her own trail. On her 21st birthday, something remarkable happened. The old bear, or perhaps one of its descendants, emerged from the forest and approached the institute. In its mouth, it carried an ancient-looking collar, covered in markings that would take researchers years to decipher. The collar proved to be an artifact from a long-lost civilization that had once lived in harmony with the forest. Its discovery suggested that the special relationship between humans and wildlife in Willowbrook was not new, but rather a rekindling of an ancient connection. As Mia approached her 60th birthday, Willowbrook hosted an unprecedented event, a worldwide symposium on human-wildlife cooperation. Representatives from indigenous communities around the globe shared their own stories of animal guardians and sacred connections to nature. The scientific community, once skeptical of Mia's story, now embraced Willowbrook as a model for a new kind of conservation. During the symposium, something extraordinary occurred. Bears from all over the region gathered peacefully at the edges of town, their presence a powerful reminder of the unique bond between Willowbrook and its wild neighbors. In her later years, Mia watched with pride as Emma took over leadership of the institute. The young woman had grown into a powerful advocate for wildlife conservation, combining her mother's passion with her own unique gifts. The Hidden Valley thrived under her care, its lessons continuing to shape our understanding of the natural world. The old oak tree in the community garden, now over 50 years old, had become a symbol of hope for visitors from around the world. Its branches sheltered new generations of children as they learned about the magic and mystery of nature. On the 50th anniversary of Mia's rescue, as the town gathered to celebrate, she made her way one last time to the spot where her incredible journey had begun. There, in the growing dusk, she encountered a bear, perhaps a descendant of her original guardian. In its eyes, she saw the same wisdom, the same understanding that had watched over her as a child. As she stood there, surrounded by 3 generations of her family and the entire town, Mia finally understood. The true magic of Willowbrook wasn't just in the extraordinary events of her childhood, but in how those events had transformed an entire community's relationship with the natural world. The bear turned and disappeared into the forest, but its legacy remained in the research that continued at the Institute, in the children who grew up understanding rather than fearing wildlife, and in the enduring spirit of a town that had learned to see itself not as separate from nature, but as part of it. As the sun set on Willowbrook, casting long shadows through the ancient trees, the story of the girl and the bear lived on, not just as a tale of survival, but as a testament to the extraordinary possibilities that exist when humans and wildlife learn to trust, respect, and protect one another. And somewhere in the forest, the bears of Willowbrook continued their ancient vigil, guardians of a legacy that would endure for generations to come. As Willowbrook's story spread across the globe, other communities began to report similar phenomena. In the forests of Romania, a small village discovered their local bears helping lost hikers find their way home. In the mountains of Japan, researchers documented bears protecting injured wildlife. Each case seemed to confirm what Willowbrook had known all along, that there was something deeper, something more profound in the relationship between humans and wildlife than science had previously recognized. The Willowbrook Institute established satellite centers in these locations, creating a network of research facilities dedicated to studying and fostering these unique relationships. Emma traveled extensively, helping these communities develop their own conservation programs while learning from their unique experiences and traditions. During one of her expeditions to a remote monastery in Tibet, Emma made a startling discovery. Hidden within ancient manuscripts was a detailed account of human bear guardianships dating back thousands of years. The text spoke of a time when humans and animals communicated freely, working together as stewards of the earth. The discovery sent shockwaves through both the scientific and spiritual communities. Scholars and researchers flocked to Willowbrook, bringing with them similar stories and artifacts from various cultures around the world. The Institute became not just a center for wildlife research, but a repository for humanity's forgotten knowledge about our relationship with the natural world. As Emma's own children grew, they too showed signs of the special connection that seemed to run in their family. Her eldest daughter, Maya possessed an even stronger ability to communicate with wildlife than her mother or grandmother. At just 5 years old, she could often be found in deep, silent communion with the animals that visited the Institute's grounds. The bears, in particular, seemed drawn to Maya. They would sit with her for hours, their ancient eyes fixed on her with an intensity that both amazed and slightly unnerved observers. Through Maya, researchers began to understand that the bears possessed a complex language of their own, one that went far beyond simple instinct or learned behavior. On the 50th anniversary of Mia's rescue, as 3 generations of Andersons gathered in the community garden, something extraordinary occurred. The bears of Willowbrook, led by a massive silver-furred creature with wise, knowing eyes, emerged from the forest in unprecedented numbers. They formed a circle around the great oak tree that had grown from Mia's acorn, their presence a testament to the enduring bond between the town and its wild guardians. As the sun set on that remarkable day, Mia stood with Emma and Maya, watching as the bears began a strange, rhythmic movement that seemed almost like a dance. In that moment, she understood that her childhood experience had been more than just a story of survival. It had been the beginning of something far greater, a rekindling of an ancient partnership between humans and wildlife that had been lost to time. The bears of Willowbrook had become more than just protectors. They were teachers, showing humanity a way to live in harmony with the natural world. Through the work of the Institute, the wisdom of the ancient texts, and the special gifts passed down through generations, a new understanding had emerged, one that recognized the intelligence and sovereignty of all living things. As darkness fell and the bears melted back into the forest, Mia knew that though her own journey was drawing to a close, the story of Willowbrook would continue. It would live on through Emma and Maya, through the countless researchers and conservationists who had learned from their example, and through every child who looked into the eyes of a wild creature and saw not a beast to be feared, but a fellow guardian of the earth. And somewhere in the forest, the bears of Willowbrook continued their ancient vigil, watching over a legacy that had changed not just a small mountain town, but the very way humans understood their place in the natural world. The magic that had begun with a lost little girl and her unlikely protector had grown into something far greater, a reminder that when we open our hearts to the mysteries of nature, extraordinary things become possible. The end.